Before a superyacht looks expensive, it usually looks rough. No glass lounge, no sun deck, no quiet owner's suite, just raw steel plates, factory marks, shipping dust, and sharp edges fresh from the mill. Stand next to it and it does not feel like billionaire life. It feels like a heavy industrial job site. That is where a yacht worth hundreds of millions begins. Inside the yacht ship hall, a crane moves a steel plate onto a cutting table. The machine follows a design file from the engineering team, and every cut has to land where it should. That piece may connect to another panel weeks later. If the cut is slightly wrong now, the problem may not show up until assembly. This side of yacht building rarely makes it into glossy videos. Yachts like Blue from Lursen, Leva from 𝗤𝗂𝗃𝗃 or San Lorenzo's 74 steel do not begin with a champagne bottle on the hull. They begin with people working through weight, balance, vibration, safety routes, machinery spaces, crew access, and one hard question: how do you make a private home behave like a real vessel? Owners often ask for features that sound simple. They want wide glass rooms, a beach club near the water, a helipad, a tender garage, and a private suite that feels like home at sea. In the yard, each becomes an engineering job. Large glass needs support. A beach club means the hull has to open near the water and still seal properly. A helipad brings weight and fire safety. So what looks like luxury has to be checked for structure, stability, safety, and crew access. The basic problem is that a superyacht is still a boat. Inside, it may feel like a private house. Outside, it still has to deal with saltwater, waves, vibration, corrosion, and safety rules. The design cannot only chase a clean look. No matter who owns it, the yacht has to be practical. Before the first steel is cut, the yacht is already built on a computer. Engineers check where the rooms go, where pipes can run, where cables can be pulled, and how air conditioning reaches each space. They also leave access for crew and technicians. On a yacht this size, moving one wall by a few inches can block a panel, hit a pipe route, or make repairs harder later. The cleanest rooms depend on things guests never notice. A cabin feels quiet because insulation is hidden behind the walls. Water runs normally because pipes and pumps are planned below the floor. Lights look clean because cables are hidden. Guests see a finished room. The crew sees a system that still needs to be reachable when something breaks. For the main hull, yards usually use steel. It is strong, it works well for long-distance vessels, and it can be repaired more realistically if something is damaged. Higher up, yards switch to aluminum because it is lighter. Too much weight above the waterline can hurt stability. Smaller yachts use a different logic. Some Princess models rely more on fiberglass and composites, with molds, resin, and lighter structures. The Princess 40M sits in the middle. At about 130 feet long, it's large enough for several decks and luxury spaces, but still very different from Lursen's Blue, which is about 525 feet long. At Blue's size, the work is closer to major shipbuilding. The hull is assembled from steel blocks. The process involves dry docks, complex power systems, and tugboats when the yacht moves. So even though both are called yachts, the scale is not even close. Once the design is ready for production, CNC machines take over the early cutting work. Computer files guide the steel and aluminum into exact shapes. Some pieces look like hull or deck sections. Others look ordinary, like stiffeners, brackets, or machinery foundations. But those smaller parts help the structure come together straight, strong, and clean. After cutting, plates go into fabrication. A flat plate gets framing, framed panels joined with other panels, and those sections become large blocks. Slowly, the hull starts to take shape. At this stage, it does not look rich or polished. It looks like a huge metal structure growing inside a work hall. Welding matters here. A bad weld is not only ugly. Heat from the weld can pull the metal slightly out of shape. If that happens, another panel may not fit and the team has to correct it later. On a superyacht, the hull has to be strong enough for open water but smooth enough for a high-end paint finish. Long surfaces show small waves quickly when light hits them. Leva from 𝗤𝗂𝗃𝗃𝗃 is a good example. Its black hull looks clean from far away, but that color makes surface work harder. Dark paint shows uneven areas fast. From welding to shaping, the yard has to keep the hull as fair as possible. Even the anchor arrangement can be changed so the bow line stays clean. This is where design and engineering push each other. A designer may want an uninterrupted shape. An engineer has to make sure that shape can actually be built, serviced, and used safely. On a yacht this large, a panel joint, an anchor pocket, or the angle of a glass panel can change the look of the whole vessel. At 𝗤𝘂𝗃𝗀𝗃, the scale gets even larger. Blue uses a diesel-electric hybrid system, so the engine room is not just where huge diesel engines turn the propellers. Electric systems help the yacht move more smoothly at lower speeds, with less noise and vibration. Blue also uses systems for exhaust treatment and wastewater treatment, so its operation is cleaner than older yachts in some areas. But that doesn't make a 525-foot yacht green in the normal sense. A vessel that size still needs huge energy, not only to move through the water, but to run everything inside. Hybrid systems reduce part of the impact. They do not erase the basic problem. And the criticism is fair. A superyacht is not just a vehicle. Even in port, onboard systems may keep running. Air conditioning, pumps, freezers, kitchens, lights, security, and crew areas all need power. Add tenders, helicopters, laundry, stabilizers, pools, and a full crew, and the yacht starts to look like a private hotel on the water with its own power plant. That puts modern shipyards in an awkward position. They have to build yachts that are quiet, private, comfortable, and able to travel far from shore. At the same time, they have to show that energy use and emissions are being taken seriously. So we see hybrid propulsion, batteries, shore power, fuel cells, and software that helps manage power use. These tools help, but they do not change what the yacht is made for: private comfort at a very high cost. Cosmos from 𝗤𝘂𝗃𝗀𝗃 shows one direction the industry is testing. It uses methanol fuel cell technology for lower emission operation in certain conditions. A fuel cell turns chemical energy into electricity without burning fuel the way a diesel engine does. It can be quieter, with much lower local emissions when the system is in use, but the fuel has to be stored safely, backup systems still matter, and the crew has to understand technology that is not yet as common as diesel machinery. You see this a lot with superyachts. The outside may look calm and simple, but behind the panels, systems are working all the time. Pipes, cables, sensors, pumps, controls, insulation, air conditioning units, and backups all have to be hidden well enough for guests not to notice, but reachable enough for the crew to fix. Rosnavi's 𝗖𝗋𝗃𝗀𝗃𝗀𝗃 takes a different route. It is not a giant single-hull yacht. It's a hybrid electric catamaran about 140 feet long, built from aluminum. The twin-hull layout gives it a wider deck and more space for solar panels. Batteries, electric motors, diesel generators, and energy software work together so parts of the operation can run on electric power. When Rosnavi talks about AI-based energy management, the practical idea is simple. The system helps the crew track power demand, battery status, and wasteful energy use. In 𝗤𝗿𝗍𝗂, where Rosnavi builds custom yachts, that technology still depends on hands-on work. Alcor is a good reminder of that. No matter how advanced the yacht becomes, people still have to weld, fit pipes, pull cables, paint surfaces, finish interiors, and test machinery. They work in spaces that keep changing, and one team's work can easily affect another team's schedule. At this point, the yacht still feels more like a construction site than a floating mansion. Temporary cables may hang overhead, floors may be unfinished, a room that will become the owner's suite may still have workers passing through in boots. Before the yacht looks clean, it goes through a messy technical phase. Then the hull moves into surface finishing. Fairing crews smooth the outside so small waves in the metal don't show through the paint. Painting a large yacht is not just about color. The coating has to resist corrosion, sunlight, saltwater, cleaning, and years of use. Because the surface is so large, the job can take months. A white superstructure may hide small flaws. A dark hull like 𝗤𝗃𝗀𝗃𝗀𝗃 makes them easier to see. Inside, the work gets more delicate once the interior begins. From the guest side, the rooms have to feel calm, clean, and expensive. From the technician side, they still have to be practical. A wall panel cannot be sealed forever if an important valve or electrical panel sits behind it. Materials have to meet fire standards. Air conditioning has to cool the room without sounding harsh. The guest sees comfort, the crew sees maintenance access. Crew are often left out of the glamour story, but they are the reason these yachts work. On large yachts, there can be more crew than guests. They handle navigation, engineering, deck work, service, cooking, security, tenders, and sometimes helicopter operations. The owner buys the yacht, but the crew keeps the whole experience feeling effortless. A superyacht is also a privacy machine. Behind tinted glass and complicated ownership structures, it can become a private space for family, business, famous guests, or meetings away from public view. This is where the controversy gets sharper. The yacht may be easy to spot in a harbor, but the real owner is not always easy to find. Ownership can sit behind companies, flags, or trusts. Some yachts almost read like personal statements. Norn feels more like a private command vessel than a vacation villa. Aviva works as a home and office. Excellence goes the other way, with wide glass and a profile that is easy to recognize from far away. Every design choice has a price in engineering. Large glass needs structure, a helipad needs load capacity and fire safety. A beach club close to the water needs a door that seals properly. A tender garage has to move heavy small boats safely. Even a swimming pool is not simple because moving water means shifting weight. San Lorenzo's 7-4 steel shows how layout and propulsion now shape each other. With diesel-electric propulsion, equipment can be placed more flexibly than in older layouts. That can open up space for a spa, beach club, owner's area, crew route, or service room. On a modern superyacht, propulsion is not just something hidden in the machinery space. It can change how life on board is arranged. At Princess Yachts, the scale is smaller, but the work is still highly controlled. The Princess 40M shows a style closer to modern production boat building. Digital design, 5-axis machines, resin infusion, wiring looms, wood mock-ups, and in-house furniture help keep the build precise. The challenge is making every inch useful. As the yacht nears completion, the shipyard starts to sound different. Less grinding, less cutting, more testing. Doors are checked, pumps are run, generators are put under load, alarms are triggered on purpose, navigation systems come alive on the bridge, surveyors check emergency systems before the yacht is allowed out. Then comes the first time it touches water. For years, the yacht may have been inside a hull or dry dock. It already looks like a vessel, but it has not behaved like one yet. When the dry dock fills or a lift lowers the hull, workers often stop and watch. It looks ceremonial, but it is also practical. The yacht has to sit on its marks. Draft is checked. Ballast can be adjusted. Engineers look for leaks. Systems that were safe on land now have seawater pressure outside the hull. The huge shape that filled the building has to prove that the calculations were right. Even then, it does not just sail away like a car leaving a showroom. The first movement is slow and controlled. Tugboats take the lines, push from one side, pull from another, and guide the yacht through tight yard space. At places like Lursen or 𝗤𝗂𝗃𝗃 and Rasmussen, one bad angle can damage years of work. After that comes sea trials. This is where the project becomes a working vessel. Speed is measured, turning is checked. Noise and vibration are tested inside the cabins. Stabilizers, thrusters, generators, batteries, fuel systems, air conditioning, navigation, and hotel loads are run in real conditions. Only then does final delivery make sense. It is not just a handoff of keys. The crew has to learn the systems. Flag and classification documents have to be ready. Spare parts, warranties, manuals, training, and small final fixes all have to be handled. A yacht can leave the yard looking finished, but its first season may still reveal details that need adjustment. A superyacht is not just a boat. It has to work like a hotel, a power system, a garage, a workshop, and a private home, all while moving at sea. The engineering is real. The craftsmanship is real. The people cutting, welding, wiring, painting, testing, and launching these vessels are solving hard problems every day. But at the end of the day, this is still extreme luxury. Superyachts can push marine technology forward, and they can also represent a level of consumption that is hard to defend. That is the uncomfortable part. The skill is real. The excess is real too. When a finished yacht leaves the shipyard, cameras usually catch the part that is easiest to sell: the clean hull, wide glass, open decks, uniformed crew, and tugboats guiding it toward open water. What they do not show is the path behind it: the first steel plate, CNC cuts, welding heat, labeled cables, tight engine rooms, night shifts, and sea trial checklists that never appears in the brochure. From the outside, it may look like a private palace entering the water, but it comes from rough work, long calculations, and thousands of small decisions that have to be right before the luxury can show.